Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Ballabha Girivardhari. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Yamuna Tira Banachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Shri Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON BBD Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Padavajikacharya Stotra Shri Srimad Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Ananta Gauri Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shyamakunda Radhakunda Giri Gopadan Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai. Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulasi Devi Maharani Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Brihat Madanga Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 26, and we are on text 41. Well, I'm on text 41. Looks like I'll just chant it. Rūpa-mātrād vikurvāṇāt. We're getting there, maybe. Let's see. It's third canto, chapter 26, text 41. Yeah, if you have a phone, you could follow like that. Everybody kind of ready with their phones? Well, we could do it together, okay? Rūpa-mātrād vikurvāṇāt. Rūpa-mātrād vikurvāṇāt. Tejaso daiva-coditāt. Tejaso daiva-coditāt. Rasa-mātram abhūt tasmād. Rasa-mātram abhūt tasmād. Ambho jihvā rasa-grahaḥ. Ambho jihvā rasa-grahaḥ. Rūpa-mātrād vikurvāṇāt. Tejaso daiva-coditāt. Rasa-mātram abhūt tasmād. Ambho jihvā rasa-grahaḥ. Take your phone over to Maharaj. Vikurvāṇāt. Tejaso daiva-coditāt. Rasa-mātram abhūt tasmād. Do you want to chant the verse, Maharaj? Okay. Others? Okay, no problem. Others want to chant it, Archana? No? Good. Rūpa-mātrād vikurvāṇāt tejaso-daiva-coditāt rasa-mātram rasa-grahaḥ. Anybody else? Apologies, you want to chant? Rūpa-mātrād vikurvāṇāt tejaso daiva-coditāt rasa-mātram abhūt tasmād ambho jihvā rasa-grahaḥ. Okay, rūpa-mātrāt, which evolves from the subtle element form. Vikurvāṇāt, undergoing transformation. Tejasaḥ, from fire. Daiva-coditāt, under a superior arrangement. Rasa-mātram, the subtle element taste. Abhūt, became manifested. Tasmāt, from that. Ambhaḥ, water. Jihvā, the sense of taste. Rasa-grahaḥ, which perceives taste. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada. By the interaction of fire and the visual sensation, the subtle element taste evolves under a superior arrangement. From taste, water is produced, and the tongue, which perceives taste, is also manifested. I'll read that one more time. By the interaction of fire and the visual sensation, the subtle element taste evolves under a superior arrangement. From taste, water is produced, and the tongue, which perceives taste, is also manifested. Purport. The tongue is described here as the instrument for acquiring knowledge of taste. Because taste is a product of water, there is always saliva on the tongue. Om Ganatam Adamdasha Jananjana Shalakaya Chakshri Unmilitamyena Takshmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitamyena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Karamayam Tadati Swapadantikam. So before I start speaking about the verse, just two kind of announcements, I guess you say. Tomorrow is Srila Prabhupada's disappearance day. So it wasn't mentioned this morning, but I thought it's a very important day. So I wanted to mention it. I did a little quick arithmetic this morning during the greeting of the deities, and I counted there are 13 different personalities on the altar. And all of them have one spot, with the exception of two personalities. Bhaktisiddhanta appears on the altar as his picture and in a murti. And so he's got two spots, okay? And Srila Prabhupada is there as a murti, as a picture twice, and he has three spots on the altar, and of course he's here in his murti form right here in the temple room. So my numerical analysis is, on the basis of that numerical analysis, Srila Prabhupada is important around here. So, tomorrow's a big day. It's his disappearance day. We don't go out. If you can possibly be here to participate in everything that's going on, that's what we should be doing. That's the priority, more than going out on Sankirtan or whatever else you might think you need to do. It's really, tomorrow's the day to be here, either in the temple room or in the kitchen or something like that, but focusing on Prabhupada's disappearance day. It's just a half-day program, basically, so everybody can be aware of that. Second thing is devotee Chaitanya Singha Prabhu had to, for personal reasons, family reasons, he had to go back to Russia. So he asked me to say goodbye to everybody, offers obeisances, asks to be forgiven if he committed any offenses to anybody, and asked for blessings. So, Chaitanya Singha Prabhu Ki Jai. Yeah, he's still alive and well, but he couldn't stay. Okay, so talking about today's verse now. So it says in the PURPORT translation, by the interaction of fire and the visual sensation, the subtle element taste evolves under a superior arrangement. Prabhupada doesn't say anything about that in the PURPORT, that specific point. He does something similar in a couple translations to come. It says, due to the interaction of water and the taste perception, the subtle element odor evolves under superior arrangement. But Prabhupada, as I said, doesn't give us any further insight in the PURPORT as to exactly what that involves. But he does comment upon the second part of the translation. From taste, water is produced, and the tongue, which perceives taste, is also manifested. So it's interesting to note that the sense of taste is there. See, from taste, water is produced, and the tongue. So the sense of taste is there before the water and the tongue, which is the instrument for perceiving taste. That's interesting to note. And how I make sense out of these verses here is that Lord Kapila Dev is describing an arrangement. There's an arrangement within nature. Notice, Lord Kapila Dev, this is not a bunch of double talk. This is not gibberish. He's describing an engineering system. I might not be able to understand it. I don't understand. How is it that through the interaction of fire and visual sensation, the subtle element taste evolves under superior arrangement? I don't have a clue how that happens, nor do I have a clue about how, due to the interaction of water with taste perception, the subtle element odor evolves under the superior arrangement. But as I said, do I think it's like a lot of double talk or just some... No. He's describing a system. I don't understand it. That doesn't mean it's not a completely valid system. Just like I drive a car, I don't have a clue how that thing works. I don't understand it. I don't understand the engineering in my car. But do I think that there's no engineering? No. That would be ridiculous, Of course I know. There's engineering. I just don't understand it. So in the same way, there's a system being presented here, described here by Lord Kapila Dev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's valid. I just don't understand it. But I don't understand it in intricate detail, but I have an overall understanding of what's going on here. I'd like to present that. This is my thought. Okay, so the government, when you have a country, when you have a nation, there's the government. And this is Prabhupada's example. He said the government creates the prison system. Why? Because the government knows that not all the citizens are going to be prepared to cooperate. Not all the citizens are going to be prepared to be, law-abiding citizens. So ahead of time, they know that ahead of time. You see? So they create the whole prison system. And because they know that what they're making is for people, because citizens are people after all, they make it a certain way. It's designed a certain way. It's got each cell has a little toilet in it, and they have a place for them, the prisoners to lie down. They have a little desk. It's got some facilities because they know we're going to be accommodating people. These prisoners are, after all, people, so they make an arrangement. Same thing. Isn't it? Archie said I like to do analogies. Well, here's an analogy. Krishna's doing the same thing. Krishna knows that not all his parts and parcels are going to be willing to cooperate with the system in the spiritual world, which is devotional service. That's the program. That's the program in the Vaikuntha planets. That's the program in Goloka Vrindavan, devotional service. But all the parts and parcels have free will, because Krishna has Swarat, he has unlimited free will, and we have minute free will. And we have that opportunity. We have that option. Do we want to cooperate with devotional service, be part of the program, so to speak, or not? And for those and Krishna knows that there's going to be living entities that are not willing, to cooperate. So he makes an arrangement for them. That arrangement is this material world. See? So that's why we see that it's created in a certain way. Because just like the government knows, these prisoners, they're not the people who are going to be criminals. Well, they're people, so we have to provide a place for them to lie down, a place for them to go to the bathroom, a place for them to brush their, et cetera, et cetera. So in the same way, Krishna knows that, okay, these parts and parcels, this is, I'm making this arrangement for them, but they're people, they're eternally individuals. So the material world is fashioned in such a way to accommodate, to accommodate the living entities, the jivas, who are not willing to participate, in the devotional service of the Lord, and they need to be, some arrangement needs to be made for them. So that's my understanding of, how what's going on here. As I said, I don't understand the intricacies, the details of the engineering, but that's my understanding of the principle. That Krishna's created this to accommodate living entities who are unwilling to, at that particular stage, to cooperate with, the program of devotional service. And so it's not a fluke, the way things are. It's very much engineered. And so it's a reform school. That's the point. It's really basically a big reform school, because just like in the government, okay, the prison system is there, and people generally, they don't like it, but that's part of, see, the government has a dual motivation in creating the prison system. Ideally, they'd like to see the people, become reformed so they can become contributing, law-abiding citizens, contributing to the nation and so forth and so on. It's not like they really, have a sadistic motive. They want to, okay, you broke that law, now you suffer and suffer for, no. Yeah, that's there. Punishment is there, but punishment is part of the overall program for rehabilitation, reformation, like that. So the same thing. Krishna's, people, jivas suffer here in the material world, but Krishna's ultimate motivation for creating this material world is the hope. He has the hope that, his parts and parcels who are kind of off in their judgment, and will get will learn something. We'll come around and understand that, no, I can't be happy like this. I can't be happy trying to be, living in defiance or in rebellion to Krishna's will, Krishna's desires, Krishna's pleasure. So I have to, be prepared to surrender. So that's Krishna's hope. And so this whole material world is just like a big reform school, and that's the ultimate purpose. It's not punishment, although that's part of the educational program. It does figure in there as part of the overall educational program, but the goal of the system is to reform living entities so that they can go back home, back to Godhead. Now, a little further kind of elaboration upon this is a very famous Shakespeare play called Hamlet. Raise your hand if you heard of the play Hamlet. Raise your hand if you had to study it when you were a kid in high school. Probably everybody, at least if you grew up here in America. Okay, so the plot is, in that play, Hamlet was the son of a king of the same name. His father's name was Hamlet, and his mother's name was Gertrude, and his uncle's name was Claudius. So what happened was Claudius was kind of a bad guy. He was he devised a plan. He killed his brother. He poisoned, when he was sleeping, he poured poison in his ear, and he killed him. Hamlet had a hunch that that's what happened, but he wasn't really sure, so he was kind of like reluctant to do anything initially. But then what happened was a couple of the guards, because the king, they had a palace and a fort and everything like that. This was Denmark. A couple of the guards saw a ghost, and a couple times, repeatedly. And then they told Hamlet's best friend about it, Horatio, who came, and he saw the ghost. And they told Hamlet, they said, hey, we better, so then Hamlet came, and he saw the ghost. And it was his father. It was the ghost of his father. And his father was telling him, this is what happened. His father, the ghost, was saying, this is what happened. My brother came and he poisoned me, poured poison in my ear, and he killed me. I want you to avenge my death, So Hamlet felt like, yeah, okay, this is now I got something. But he wasn't 100% positive, because after all, it's a ghost. It's kind of pretty far out experience, So he wanted to be a little bit more sure before he did something, took action. So he devised a plan. He got a play together, and the plot of the play was something very, very similar to what his father had done. So here everybody's watching the play, Claudius, his mother, and the other, important people in the court. And in the play, the characters in the play, the story goes and develops in such a way that somebody's pouring poison in the king's ear. So when the characters in the play did that, Claudius, the king, got up. He freaked out. Whoa! And he split. And Hamlet could understand from that, yeah, that's it. Because he had that reaction. Apparently that was a method they used in Europe, to kind of suss people out, to smoke them out, so to speak. So anyway, it worked. And Hamlet could understand from that, yeah, definitely Claudius, he killed my father, like that. So and there's a famous line, where he says, the play is the thing to catch the conscience of the king. You see, the play is the thing to catch the conscience of the king. Okay, so the analogy is this, that in the same way Hamlet devised that play, to watch his reaction, to watch Claudius's reaction, and from that he could understand. So in the same way, Krishna's arranged this whole material world to watch the reaction. You see, and especially when you come to the human form of life, Krishna's watching. He's watching. He wants to see. Here's your okay, Jihvā, here's your opportunity. Do you want to continue to try to enjoy independently, not, try to separately, or are you prepared? Are you ready to kind of, Rishikesha, Rishikena, Sevanam, Bhakti Ruchate? Are you prepared to try to use your senses and everything, all this arrangement that I'm providing for you? Are you prepared to try to use that and try to be engaged in my devotional service? And Krishna's watching to see. Now that might sound kind of far out. How could Krishna, one person, observe the psychic movements of billions of, well, let's forget about the animals for the moment, because just human beings, because it's in the human form of life that you can take to devotional service. How can one person be aware of the psychic activities of 9 billion now? 9 billion human beings here on Earth, just on Earth. Of course, in the Vedic picture of reality, the whole universe is inhabited, but let's just talk about, that's a lot of people, right? Well, Krishnas can do it. Krishna is very smart, and Krishna is very powerful. And I'll give you an example. This is something that just occurred to me. For the last week, I've been fascinated by this. How amazing this, Krishna's engineering is in this universe. I can't remember how I got onto this, but I've been studying about the cell. A cell, you have to observe a cell under a microscope. That's how small it is, okay? But in that teeny, teeny little cell, so much stuff is going on. First of all, these are some key features of a cell. It has a membrane, which doesn't only allows certain things in and only allows certain things out, okay? It has cytoplasm, which is a jelly-like substance where organelles are suspended and chemical reaction occurs. It has a nucleus, which it's like a control center of the cell, containing DNA, which directs protein synthesis and other cellular activities. A mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of the cell, generating energy through a process called cellular respiration. Ribosomes, which are small structures responsible for protein synthesis, translating genetic information from DNA into proteins. Endoplasmic reticulum, a network of membranes involved in protein folding and transport within the cell. Golgi apparatus modifies and packages proteins for secretion from them. So just not, you can get an idea. It's incredibly complex. And even the scientists say that a single cell is more complex than in a modern city. And there's 37 trillion of them in the human body. Can you believe that? That's what they say. There's 37 trillion, approximately, of course, 37 trillion cells. Each one of them more complex than, like Los Angeles, a major city, and the human body alone. It's like, wow, that's incredible. So, just, and once again, that's to support the point that Krishna can do it. If Krishna, he's created these cells, they're so complex, so intricate, amazing. So Krishna has the capacity and he has the motivation to be aware of the psychic movements, the psychic movements of every human being. So, as far as the motivation part goes, I'll read something. This is a purport from the 8th canto, chapter 3, text 17 of Srimad Bhagavatam. And this is giving us some insight into supporting the point that Krishna has the motivation to be, to pay attention to every different person and what's going on in their mind and what they're desiring to do and what they're not desiring to do, etc. So this is from the last paragraph of the purport. Prabhupada says, only Krishna can deliver us from this material existence. Indeed, he is always trying to deliver us. Ishvara savabhutanam hrideshe arjuna tishtati. He is within our hearts and is not at all inattentive. His only aim is to deliver us from material life. It is not that he becomes attentive to us only when we offer prayers to him. This is so good, even I will slow down. I'm going to even fast talk and personify, but I'm going to slow down and read this really slow because this is just such an important paragraph that I want to give everybody a chance to really soak it up. Okay, so it says, even before we offer our prayers, he incessantly tries to deliver us. He is never lazy in regard to our deliverance. Therefore, this verse says, Buddhi Karunaya Namo Lalaya. It is the causeless mercy of the Supreme Lord that he always tries to bring us back home, back to Godhead. God is liberated, and he tries to make us liberated. But although he is constantly trying, we refuse to accept his instructions. Sarvadamam parichaja mame kam saranam vraja. Nonetheless, he has not become angry. Notice how Prabhupada says, has not become angry, which means he still can. Not yet, though. He has not become angry. To date, he has not become angry, but he could. It says, therefore, he is described here as Buddhi Karunaya, unlimitedly merciful and delivering us from this miserable material condition of life and taking us back home, back to Godhead. So he has the motivation. Why? He loves us. Basically what you're hearing, what you just heard is the description of what somebody who Krishna loves the living in. He loves his parts and parcels. He loves the jivas, even those who have, turned and, not wanted to serve him, but he still loves us, and that's why he's doing like that. So Krishna has the ability, and he has the motivation to try to make an arrangement like this material world, and observe and work with living entities who are in the human form of life, and in hopes that they will, get it, and they'll start, sort of turning towards him. Here's something interesting from a lecture I was listening to, where Prabhupada talked about, a devotee asked Prabhupada a question, is it possible for us to worship Krishna purely in this lifetime? So this is, giving some information about this process of turning towards Krishna. So Prabhupada's answer is, he says, why not? Do you think we are simply wasting our time with this process? Why lifetime? Within a second you can do. It is spiritual process. It is not material process that you require so much time. No, it requires simply the spiritual technique to know how you can develop Krishna attachment. As soon as you are 100% attached with Krishna, your business is finished. Aradito yadi haris tapasa tata kim. The whole formula is that you have to develop your attachment for Krishna. So if you have developed such attachment for Krishna, then your business is finished. No more. That's all right. And naradito yadi haris tapasa tata kim. And if you cannot develop fully Krishna consciousness, then all your labor is waste of time. There is no need of advertising yourself that I am a religious person, I am philosopher, I am yogi. All is nonsense if at the end there is no Krishna consciousness. So if Krishna consciousness is there, so all these things end. And if there is no Krishna consciousness, these are all useless labor. And he quotes that verse again. He says, so the whole business is how to develop attachment for Krishna. If you have developed that attachment within a second, then business is finished within a second. And if you cannot develop that attachment for years, then it is very difficult. The only test is how you have developed your attachment for Krishna. If you are serious about it, it can be done within a second. If you are not serious about it, it cannot be done in many lives. So that depends on your serious nature. Krishna is not a material thing that it requires some particular time. He says the only thing is Maya Shaktamana, and he quotes that verse from the 7th chapter, the first verse, 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You have to develop your full attachment for Krishna. That you can test, whether you have full attachment for Krishna. then business is finished. Yeah. So that's what we're looking at. That's what we have to do. We have to try to develop our attachment for Krishna. It might sound like a very daunting kind of a task, but elsewhere, I'll read you something. Actually, it's coming up. It's coming up in this canto. There is Lord Kapila is instructing his mother further on about, I think it's in the chapter called Explanation of Devotional Service. Just, one or two chapters away. In the purport, Prabhupada says, he's talking about developing attachment for Krishna, and he makes this point. He says, okay, so this is Kapila when he's instructing his mother on how to execute devotional service. This is an instruction he gives. He says, fixing the vital air in the mind in one of the 6 circles of the vital air circulation within the body, thus concentrating one's mind on the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is called samadhi or samadhana. So he's kind of giving her the Ashtanga yoga system, but it has it's devotional service. Prabhupada says because the goal of even the Ashtanga yoga system, when understood properly, is Vishnu. It's also taken as Vaishnava, and it's devotional service. So anyway, in the purport, Prabhupada says, one has to fix, it is never mentioned that one should concentrate on the impersonal or void. It is clearly stated, Vaikuntha, Lila. Lila means pastimes. Unless the absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, has transcendental activities, where is the scope for thinking of these pastimes? It is through the process of devotional service, chanting and hearing of the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that one can achieve this concentration. As described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord appears and disappears. Here it comes. The Lord appears and disappears according to his relationships with different devotees. The Vedic literatures contain many narrations of the Lord's pastimes, including the Battle of Kurukshetra, and historical facts relating to the life and precepts of devotees, like Prahlad Maharaj, Dhruva Maharaj, and Ambarish Maharaj. Here it goes. One need only concentrate his mind on one such narration and become always absorbed in its thought. Then he will be in samadhi. So, that's it. I'll read that sentence again. One need only concentrate his mind on one such narration and become always absorbed in its thought. Then he will be in samadhi. So there's so many different narrations. We just have to somehow or another, like Rupa Goswami says, Yena tena prakarena manak Krishna navesayat sarva vida nasarasur etayo. Somehow or other, Yena tena, somehow or another, just become attached to something in Krishna consciousness. One narration, whether it could be Damodar Leela, or it could be Govardhan Leela, it can be something with Lord Chaitanya. I mean, it's like practically an unlimited variety, but we just have to become attached to one narration, one aspect of Krishna consciousness, and that's samadhi. And then samadhi is when everything's revealed. When you reach that stage of samadhi, everything becomes understood. That's the kind of a personal goal. So I'll stop there. Does anybody have any question or comment? Everybody's in total agreement? Okay. Thank you very much. Grantarad Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.